can tell our friends, and they can have my things when we're dead. But we gonna live forever. We gonna live forever.
Welcome to the Boys Cast, first podcast exclusively for the boys. Okay, so I'm gonna announce a couple shows before I get into this interview, and pretty cool. I also want to say thank you to everyone because, you know, when all the internet stuff was popping off or whatever, a lot of different agents and everyone's kind of messaging me being like, you know, you need to go on tour and blah, blah, blah. And even though there's COVID in all the main places, all these small places that we can go to. And in my mind, I was like, let's wait a bit because I don't want to disappoint people kind of thing. Like I felt everyone was like, dude, you're going to sell out this and this. And in my mind, I was kind of like, we're going to put all these tickets on sale. 50 people are going to, it's going to be fine. Like for me, I would be like, that's cool. But these guys are going to be like, oh, this isn't as big as I thought. So I was kind of super skeptical if I was ready to, you know, do it. Anyways, we put out 3 shows already. They've all sold out. We have like 100 offers now. So, and his plan was, he goes, let's sell out on, okay, let's do this. Let's put a bunch of Wednesdays on sale. They're not even open those days, a lot of the clubs. You'll open it for that show, sell out that show, and then we go to the other people and be like, look, this guy's selling Wednesdays. And I was like, okay, but like, what happens when we don't sell out that Wednesday? Then what? I call you and say sorry? So anyways, we did it, and every show sold out like way before. So we've yet to not have a sellout. And last night, I was just in New Jersey. It's like 150 people. It's like, you know, and still in COVID. So it's spaced out, but they have this big, huge place that they have for it. And seeing everyone there, I thought it was super cool. So I'm going to be announcing more. I'm moving to Miami in March, and we're doing a bunch of shows there. To start, I now have 2 more shows in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And how stupid I am, I had to ask. I go, is that like a plane? And then everyone goes, you're an idiot. And that's the 25th and the 26th. So that's next weekend. And then I added another show because of Helium when sold out. I sold out. Added another show in Helium next Tuesday. And that's the 16th in Philadelphia. So anyways, bunch more coming. Thank you very much. And on this episode, I have Kurt Metzger. So Kurt was one of the, you know, many people that in America that I thought was hilarious. And he's had this crazy career, and now he's kind of making these hilarious videos with Kyle Dunnigan that I talked about on my last podcast. Just because I really thought they were good, and me and him are working on something together. And we talk about in the episode about all the shows he written on, and, you know, kind of the interesting stuff about that. He had like a scandal himself and what happened with that. We talked about like comedy and all the different people and what he thinks, how he sees the world and the state of everything right now. So without further ado, I think Kurt's one of the funniest people in the world. And I think a lot of people do think that as well. I don't think I said this on the podcast, but when we were talking about doing this episode, we were going to do, he's doing basically, it's kind of a little bit like my video where I said comedians against comedy, and he's doing a special called Stop the Laughter. And in the episode, I end up doing this, so that's why I'll say what it was. But we were going to do a thing where I was injured, like in a wheelchair because of comedy. And I was saying like comedy can actually really hurt people, and this is why it's bad. And I was the idea we came up with to say that I was a heckler that was destroyed by Steve Hofstetter. And you never see afterwards. I mean, like the behind the music of a guy that was destroyed by Steve Hofstetter, because he does all the videos where it's like heckler destroyed, and he explains them all first. And I literally, we were talking about that, and I was just crying, laughing, and I went to sleep, kind of thinking about it. And we ended up settling on something else, but I'm sure whatever it ends up being, like, those guys are so funny, so it'll be good. But this is my talk with Kurt Metzger. Okay, so I'm here with the great man, the legend, Kurt Metzger, and we're doing me and you are gonna do. I'm gonna do your thing with Kyle, right? What is it called? The special you guys are doing?
Oh, it's called Stand Up Against Comedy.
Dude, it's so funny,
and it's gonna be a comic relief to help get comedy off these streets. You know, it's like a gun buyback, but of comedy. So we have we based it on a TED Talk that a buddy of mine. Scribe Light, his handle is on YouTube. He watches TEDx talks, and like It's like if Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, I saw him on your podcast. I listened to a bunch.
And yeah, because TEDx talks are ground zero for like a lot of the bad ideas that are trickling down through society now. It's just like really like, you know, like real nerd, like I want to say well-to-do nerds. I'm trying to imagine who goes to these talks because they're so bad. And this guy Scribe's like a nerd. I would say his sense of humor is like wholesome. Like he's not like, you know.
Yeah, TEDx is like lower than TED, right? Because TED used to be,
It's
you
a
know, Mark
franchise.
Zuckerberg would give, you know, and then they're like,
It's,
what if we
it's a
cranked out
UCB
more of
East.
these?
UCBs. And yeah, so what people are doing is test marketing their little catchphrases and books and shit. Some people are just jerking off talking about nonsense.
Yeah,
and
most of them are jerking off. That reminds me, you had the best quote. I always kind of like make a couple quotes that people have. I'll bring them up later. But you said the Brooklyn boohoo scene.
I don't even remember saying that, but that does sound about right. So they all want to get their own white fragility term because Robin DiAngelo got rid. Like,
yeah, they need
he's
theirs.
like a legend of catchphrase bullshit. And so he does like a
Catchphrase is
bingo.
a comedy.
Yeah, he does a bingo game with, you know, if they say which buzz phrase they say, or, you know, leaves out vital context or like marketing a term. And he sent me one for comedy. It's some chick who's like, I don't think she's a failed stand-up. I think she's like, wanted to be, but never was. And it was, I think the title of it is something like rape jokes. And it was around the time with Daniel Tosh and the great rape joke wars of,
Yeah.
what was it, 2013? And her thing is, she has a thing called the Pyramid of Hate that explains how the base of the pyramid has like jokes, and the top is genocide. So she goes the link from joking around to fucking genocide. And then she makes terrible period jokes the whole time.
Oh, she's
It's so fucking bad.
Which to me, those are rape to my ears.
Yeah, it's like really brutal. It's like, imagine sitting in that audience and you just have to take it. You just have to sit back.
I did recently. I just did a video last week where it was basically a generator of how to generate blog articles, and it was kind of like blank has a blank problem, so it'd be, you know, whatever. And
Yeah,
then
right.
since I did that, so it'd be like whatever. The knitting industry has a racism, and you could pick your problem. And since I did that, like 1,000 people tagged me in those articles.
Oh yeah.
Because I was finding them. So how I did it too, I would think of one. I'd be like, okay, what if I wrote all these squares, like literally did it. So I go, okay, the hockey has a transphobia, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then I would Google them to see if I could find what I came up with. And
Yeah.
I was shooting like 50-50.
Really?
Yeah, like I would be
Wow.
like, whatever, the football has a homophobia problem. And then I would be like,
Yeah.
the gay community has a racism
Or
problem. I
like,
found all of them.
I like, guys, we need to talk about such and so thing.
Well, that
we
was
don't
so
need to
in
talk
my
about.
video, that was the third category called snaz, and you're allowed to add. So the snaz would be like, it's time to talk about, yes, we
Oh,
still
look-
have a.
You can add a little snaz to
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That's 3-tier. That was called 3-tier blogging, but that's for Harvard lit graduates. Not everyone can handle that.
Well, I found out a long time ago from talking to like reporters and shit that they don't. It's always an editor. So an editor has like a big bag of titles that they
Come
just
on.
apply to your article.
Is that how they do it?
Yeah, the person who writes it never comes up with that title. It's the person, they have the editor there to make clickbait it up. That's what their job is.
That'd be sort of funny. Like a first person, that guy writes a whole article and you're like, a first person of count of coming out of the closet. You go, what? I didn't.
Yeah, well, they won't do that. They just know algorithm. All these companies studied like algorithms for like what do girls share, because it's mostly targeted at women, and they like did research to figure this out.
And
'cause
men that are
share-
women.
Yeah, well, just they share the stuff more, so that's why all the news is like, why does it seem like extra, like silly Brooklyn chick? Like everything seems like, because that's
That's who
targeting
it's for.
that. Yeah, like silly white girl. Like, well, whatever. I shouldn't say all white. But it's mostly targeted towards that. And it's always shit like I would never care about, or I'd be like, this is none of my business. You know, things a woman never says, like, this is none of my fucking business. So, yeah, who was at the Cellar podcast one time? I can't remember his name. It's like Michael something, and he used to write for Salon. I used to read Salon when I.
That's a hot job. A male salon writer. That's a male nurse is higher than male salon writer. He was exactly what I
imagined he would be.
Yeah, they don't surprise you.
His article was called "The Poisonous Legacy of Chris Rock." So Noam had him on, and I was like, "No, don't tell him I'm coming on."
He likes having those guys on, the bloggers.
Yeah, Noam's very because Noam just wants to. I'm where I'm like, I used to try to have people on like that, and I'm like, oh, they're poison.
On Race Wars.
Yeah, they're. I've only. It was like letting in evil spirits to try to talk to these people. Like, it's not. There's no like. They have an agenda that's not their stated agenda, which is like to make like collect scalps for the clickbait industry that raises your rank.
I think that sometimes you see that with comedians who are like 45. They're like, if I could just talk to these people, I could get through to them. You're like, you have no idea who you're dealing with.
So get through, like, yeah, certainly that, but especially old New York liberals all think like that. They're like, they'll calm down once Trump, and it's going to be even worse because they don't have it's really, did you see that?
They don't have somewhere to direct it. Now they got to direct it everywhere.
They took over the New York Times. New York Times is always a pile of shit, but now somebody just published an article about how fucking Clubhouse, and in the title they put the unfettered speech on Clubhouse. They actually use the term unfettered because they're trying to sell themselves as we'll be the ones that decide what's okay to say, and there can't be anything that we don't control. Otherwise, you might have a Boogaloo Boys will sprout up or whatever dumb shit. They're so that's like this whole and so Trump's gone, so they're losing all this fucking. They're losing a huge.
They need their head.
Yeah, so they're gonna find new ways to make Trump stories, right? And they're gonna find new crises that are because this is the only thing they know how to do is like some weird fear mongering.
Yeah, they're like
just
Trump's
weird to see it happening here, like as much like we used to.
And as fast, I guess.
What?
And happening as fast as it's happening.
Well, because also people have a high tolerance to hearing about shit, so it's going to be over in a couple of days, and you're going to have to move on to the next nonsense. Like the wrecking ball always kept going, but now people are. I don't even know how anybody even has an emotion about anything with the amount of hysteria you would get through news to be like, what? He said what? Like, how many times can you do that?
Dude, they got my mom. I was talking about this here, but so my mom, 8 years or whatever, the full like Trump thing, Obama, even before that, never mentioned politics. The month of the last election, because of COVID, she was like, I'll flip on CNN. She calls me. She goes, this Trump guy is a problem. She goes, we need to make sure that he gets impeached so he can't. First I go, like you're 80. You haven't cared about politics your whole life.
Also, aren't you not an American citizen?
She's not American.
That's hilarious.
She goes, he's calling other people ugly. He's ugly. The guy's orange. His wife's going to leave him. Like she was. And then now that the election's over, this is one thing I give her credit for. One thing the election's over, she goes, yeah, I got a little carried away there. I think I'm done with watching the news.
Yeah, CNN is so fucking bad. I don't know, like if I just watch it every day and just thought that was the news, because people don't have time to check a bunch of sources.
Yeah, I don't even watch TV, but I was just on vacation for like 4 days, and Fox News has bigger viewership, but the Fox commercials are for the lowest budget things because they can't get like Honda and stuff. So one of their main sponsors of the segment that I was watching was sleep apnea mask cleaner.
Wow.
Cleaner for like it's a spray on.
Selling gold coins. It's like selling gold coins.
Three different coin commercials over the course of the hour, and it wasn't all the same company. So they're big Fox on the coins.
Is like oldie old, and then CNN is like the newly old to me. It's like like I'm newly old. What should I be fooled by? I guess CNN.
Yeah.
It's not your grandpa's news like Fox.
Yeah, they 100% did. Well, I'll talk about that a lot because there's so many people right now that are, like my age, and they're like, us young people, like we're just not taking this any, it's kind of like that. And I'm like, you're fucking middle aged, like you're 30, you're close. Might be a midlife crisis for you.
Yeah, right.
And you're like us kids. Yeah, and
that's the fucking economy too. Is people couldn't move out on their own.
I agree.
Like your childhood is extended. That's why there's more like hysterical like. That's why you start to hear shit of like, I don't know, take your pick, like some actors dating someone. It's not like illegal, but they're like the woman's 20 and the guy's like 50 or so, and acting as if that's some kind of like, it's like, but that's a child. Like, no, it's an adult.
Yeah. But to you, that is a child.
but they have the mind of a child. Like they just, unless you live on your own and have to live like an adult, you can have the brain. I mean, even then you might not have the mind of an adult.
Yeah, I was kind of like discussing this too, because I would say like a critique of like conservative media is sometimes they just want to complain, like say, oh, things used to be better, and this generation, it's like, and you're like, yeah, but don't forget your role in that. You know what I mean?
Like that's what conservative means. Things used to be better. Like this.
Yeah, I guess, right?
That's the basis. It was better before this. Yeah, well, their role in it. This is like when I used to argue with Gavin back before it was like a crime, to even know him. But
yeah, because you had him on a lot
on Race Wars, and he would like even the stupid Proud Boys were like before, I don't know what it is now, but when it was the joke thing, and he would call it Western chauvinist. It was like the West is better, and like that road is so stupid to me, because you're like, all the things you hate are directly from the West, like all the woke bullshit and all this socialism. Yeah. The Western civilization produced those things. The things that you like being a fucking Catholic or what, like that's old Middle Eastern shit.
Or even maybe Scotland or something. You're like, Gavin should just take it back one country maybe.
But he's a Catholic, so if you're Christian,
oh okay,
that's Middle Eastern shit. It's not Western. This used to bother me about when I got out of being religious, where I'm like, I had a Jewish girlfriend who actually could pronounce the Bible words that are silly cult.
Yeah, proper Jew.
Yeah. And she speak Hebrew, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't for me. I'm from the West. Like this was made for people that lived in a certain place, and you can get wisdom and shit out of it, but we read it as if the story continues with you. Like you finish reading the Bible, and then you're the continuation of it. So when you imagine the places and people, you're imagining the people around you. Wizard of Ozing, like kind of, and the books you have like Western looking faces, and it doesn't look like." People that guard a mummy, which it should look like. And I'm like, oh, this isn't like, what does this have to do with me? Like, I don't live in the desert. You know what I mean? Like, so the superiority of being like Western, it's bizarre to me. There's culture is so open source, and that's the wealth of the West. Like, that's what happens in a wealthy country. You have 25-year-old. It's like all these shitty, a big part of like wokeness I blame is like shitty ass liberal parents. Liberal parents are the shittiest parents I've ever seen in my life, especially working, I don't know, in entertainment and just knowing all these people that grew up
telling their kids, to be whatever you want.
Their parents were their friend, that kind of shit. It's created the worst generation who has ever
probably
just they're the worst. It's like also now, I mean, you could hear the eggs turning bad when the clock strikes, I don't know, 35, 36. Like, that's when the real, now you're seeing the crazy shit of New York, like Sex in the City ruined a generation. It really did. Sex in the City, but for all the fucking complaining about whatever.
And then girls sort of picked up where they took off.
So it created these city fucking spinsters more than there's ever been of like city spinsters. And they all thought they were going to do like having it all in the city, like, like Liz Lemon or Scarface. On 30 Rock, that was supposed to be a joke. Or like, you can have it all. Like, and so all of them find out you can't, and they have like fucking breakdowns. And I will give this to Gavin. He said that, this is like 12 years ago on Race Wars. I had 2 millennial age girls on, and who were like, and one was my girlfriend.
And he was telling them you gotta have
my
kids. My
girlfriend and her friend that she let me fuck were both on, and she's like, yeah, you're gonna, and they're like, no, I would have an abortion. All this like shit because they're young.
Yeah.
And the second you and something snaps, people fucking snap. Well, one got married, but she married a crazy guy. But anyway,
yeah, it depends how hot they are. Like if it's the sevens running around with hot girl attitude.
Like Jen Kirkman's Instagram's a good barometer of what becomes of hot girls. I just know so many people where I'm like, wow, this is like weird anger coming out. That who told you should have it all? First of all, like that was Scarface where I saw that. That was a insane.
Yeah, and it didn't end good. It's supposed to be cautionary.
Yeah, it was like a scathing critique of, I guess, capitalism, and Like, what did you? It's like Mulaney had the joke of like, did you watch the whole movie of Scarface? Or like
Yeah, it feels like they didn't watch the last part of a lot of these movies.
well, Sex and the City didn't show the last part. She gets married to the guy at the end.
It works out for her. Mr. Big comes back.
Yeah, but in real life, the person came up.
He's gone.
Of course, that's the show.
No, in real life, the
show is just 5 aspects of a gay writer's personality. But the original column, the woman that wrote that, what's her name, Candace? Like, she's the whole thing how she regrets. So I wish I had kids and all. Like,
right.
I can make, like, I'm always like, if I have a kid, I do or don't, whatever.
Yeah, but as a guy, you can,
that's a luxury.
crank him out.
That really is like what male privilege is that is just the luxury that you're not going to have this crazy thing overtake your body that, just hormones being shot in your brain and
yeah, pop one out.
And so, if you make an honest choice, there's I know of quite a few comics in particular that are like good comics that are women that, yeah, they shouldn't. They should have fucking been a single like dude like chick in the city, and that's what they should do. It's just the majority of people are not like, most people are just, are like breeders. That's what they're set up to do. And so same as college put out the idea and I remember Reed Zakaria saying this when I was on Larry Wilmore, and he's saying they were arguing about whether to go to college if it's worth it. And he's like, well, statistically, people get a liberal arts degree, you have better this. He had a whole reason, like statistically. That's what they all do. They all bet on statistics. Like, yeah, statistically, they probably were already fine because they were rich kids or upper middle class kids.
Yeah, you're not taking into consideration the before part.
Yeah, we can't all go to college. Like the idea of, well, you just go to college and then statistically you have a better job. That's not like.
Yeah, it's a good point.
There's too many people now that are supposed to have a college job. Like, we're way past so too many people are in debt from going to college who probably just went because they go, yeah, it's like how you go to high school, then you leave, and then you go to college, and then you leave and get your job.
For me, it was like that. It was just kind of what you do.
Well, yeah, right. And so there's not what's his name? Eric Weinstein. I watched an interview with him saying it. He goes like, we have plenty of excellent people, but there's not enough excellent people spaces.
Have you seen, there's a lot of charts where they have the stats, and it'll be like, the amount of people in school for this job right now is 200,000. The amount of jobs, 20,000. It's
a fucking Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
It's or like being a comedian. Like when Barry Crimmins used to say there's a Syrian refugee crisis of new comedians coming in. Like all these people, when stand up, I came in like, I don't know, like 1999, 98. So, because I've been watching Comedy Central, and then there was another rush after that. You watch it, and there's not enough space for all these people. And it used to be you would just like, figure out something else to do, or like stay in past all reason. But now people are mad. They're like, I went and I decided it was my dream. It didn't work out, and now I'm fucking.
You're like, who told you get to be a famous comedian?
You see them lashing out at trying to ruin comics like for a living. That's where the clickbait industry was growing at the same time. So there's all these comics. I mean, I don't really know them, but like a lot of around Brooklyn kind of fucking scene.
I knew a lot of comics like that did like 2 spots a month, and their whole identity was yelling at people online and trying to get, industry gigs.
Yeah, online gave because you're already a shitty person to be a stand-up comic. Like, that's what you should recognize. You're already like a oversensitive kind of like I guess a snowflake, they would call it. Like I always say, all comedians start out as female comedians.
Yeah,
I like it. Every comedian begins as a female comic, male or female, and then like the cremaster cycle or something where you're when you're a zygote or whatever, we're all female until you get a hormone or you don't, right?
Yeah, it is kind of true, because even the like top female comics, like when you think, I mean, Roseanne was saying something kind of similar.
Yeah, well, it used to be like that. Now there's a female side to comedy that sucks. And
they've gendered it.
That, and you know what it is? It's being safe. It's being safe for work.
It's being together.
Don't you? Corporate.
Yeah, they try to take out the danger, but it kind of is like anything where, because you're a guy that like legitimately went through the entire industry process, wrote on all the whole shows, all that sort of stuff. But it really feels like when you're at a party and then like a couple people get kicked out of the bar or whatever, and everyone's like, fuck it, we lost them. But then most of the people are kind of like, yeah, but then they're like, hey, we're at a new bar, and then everyone goes over there. It really does feel like that with the industry. Like they gone like, you guys can all come, and then they're like, but we're still the thing that they created, and then everyone else started doing this thing. I mean, like, you know, people like you're like, yeah, I don't know, would you take writing jobs on these shows right now?
Well, I wouldn't be able to get them. Never mind any controversy I ever had. Just they actually says, they go, well, it has to be a diverse. They say diverse person to mean a minority. That's the new urban, is to call someone a diverse. Yeah. So the word lost all meaning. Yeah. And by the way, diversity is a very good thing to have in a writer's room, actually, but they hate diversity. They fear it. I mean, deeply they fear it. So they want the most Benetton, United Colors of Benetton corporate cover of your college. You're like, I will hang out with one Korean, one black guy, and then one guy in a wheelchair at college.
The National Geographics, yeah.
They want that. They want like the look, but these are all people that got their jobs. I mean, so many of them, just like nepotism and all that kind of shit.
Or the Harvard writers.
That's what it was when I started. It was like Harvard Lampoon people.
Lampoon people.
Then the clique kind of changed, and it's ridiculous now. And all the people I know that have like jobs, just are like, they try to like keep their head down until it's over.
Do you know who Evan Shapiro is?
Who is that?
He's the guy. He was the head of CISO.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
When I was with the Hard Times, he wanted to like work with us on a show, but he's one of those guys that he's like honestly a super nice dude. But if you go to his Twitter, it's like he's all day like yelling at congressmen, and he's all in, right?
Oh, so he's probably a very successful person, because that's who does that.
He's all in, yeah. And then he wanted us to do a show there, and then he took over the National Lampoon, so we kind of talked to him about that. And then he's been, you know, all day yelling. He yells at Trump. He's like a big part of the resistance. And then I read the article 2 days ago, and it was my buddy sent it to me. But he's charged with embezzling $5 million from the National Lampoon. And
wow, like, really?
Yeah. And I went to see if he addressed it.
That's like you could set your watch to it. Whoever's, because it's not normal to be investing that much in yelling on. After you,
well, he didn't even address it. I looked at his Twitter, and I'm like, I wonder if he even said anything about this. And it was just like, and another thing, Ted Cruz.
No, everybody becomes like the devil in Daniel Webster. Remember that story? And the guy makes a deal with the devil, and then as he's getting later in life, he starts going to church a lot.
Yeah.
And the first one to condemn people. Like, that's all. That's
a good point.
Hollywood. All of Hollywood is that. So whenever you see like really crazy shit, you know, that's like not, you know, like Me Too, like stuff that's like, what is this? Like, what is it? Like, it's a reckoning. You're like, yeah, but what? Okay, how specific? Be specific. How is it a reckoning? And what is? Oh, you're going to say things on Twitter, and the press is going to make money off of. They're going to make their same rape money, but without having to even report on a real rape or be sued. Hunter S. Thompson said it. The media. There's nothing a news editor loves more than a good rape. That's a Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, I know.
And it like a masturbating raven that leers on the shoulder of the. It's some like poetic thing that nails exactly what it is. So it's pure exploitation that they then pretend that they're not doing that. But these people are so wormy and awful. They all are Trump. They're all pot calling the kettle black. Like, yeah, they're all fucking Trump. It's not because they're both black. It's because the kettle's shiny and the pot is seeing its own reflection in the kettle. That's where that's saying. So Bill Maher is like the yin and yang of like they both have tiny hands, you know, and they both like don't like to be made fun of. Like he is them. That's why they all were hanging out with him and shit beforehand. Yeah. Oh, he's successful. I want to be successful. I want to be around people. They all are NXIVM in their hearts. So fucking they can't believe that was the big affront of him, that is like them being like aghast all the time, like, and how could you, and like, look at your fucking selves, asshole. Like I guess that's America for you, like the country that hates its own reflection the most of any country, and that's what they are. They see themselves. And
did you ever have that, like, because I feel like I never kind of had that idea of like, oh, I want to get into the popular kid crew. Like for me, it was always kind of about being the kids at the back of the class.
I wanted to be, well, yeah, right. So, but that was the thing. Like when I got in, when I first did it, it was just nothing but like kind of black rooms in like Philly and shit. And
Yeah, you came up in Philly.
Then Kevin Hart who was the smartest of any of us, went to New York immediately, and he was in at the Cellar, and then he was like, he's like straight business, you know. I got into it to be a jerk off. I specifically was like, I want to be a jerk off with my life. Like, I don't want to. And so when I got to the Cellar, I definitely wanted to be like sit at the table. Like that was like the height of when it was like the table.
Well, that's a different table, though. I think because those people are still the troublemakers of a broader scene for the most part.
Well, then, so what happened is, and so that was Comedy Central. You know, it's called Comedy Central, and so there's a certain point where a whole bunch of people come out of college, I assume, are getting jobs at Comedy Central. And what are they into? These are rich kids that went to college. They like improv. They like Stella.
Yeah, know? which was funny.
I never liked it. I didn't even understand what the fuck I was looking at. But
did you ever see the shorts? The digital shorts?
No, I just saw this Comedy Central show, and I was
I mean, they've never really been able to translate The only show that ended up being great out of like that whole movement would have been Reno 911.
I used to like Viva Variety too, the one before.
I don't remember that one.
It's a fake variety show, and they were all doing foreign accents, so it was racist. Now looking back,
yeah, they should lash themselves for.
Yeah, it was a variety show. But so Comedy Central would go. So this post Luna Lounge was the alt room. That's where Marin was. That was like, you know, like Jeannie Garofalo. I read about that in high school. That was the like indie rock cool.
That was at the time. Yeah.
So alt was still alt though, you know. So then when Comedy Central started only looking, they started not going to clubs. So they'd go to like Rafifi. Whenever Mulaney was at Rafifi.
Okay.
I feel stupid saying these words. Whenever he was there, that's when Comedy Central started picking. And then I used to host a thing for them at this place, Crash Mansion, where they were getting, so like Donald Glover, I remember, was coming through there, and like all these people. So they started picking out of like improv, and also Saturday Night Live at the same time started getting UCB people.
That became the mainstream.
Right. It wasn't like whatever it used to be.
Well, the problem is like, this happens, in my opinion, it happens with music, it happens with everything, that I always use the example of, you know, the cop movies where it's like, hey, Riggs, you know, I don't do that anymore, all that kind of stuff. You know, there was a point where like everyone's making fun of it, but no one's actually doing it. So a lot of those alt people, no one was actually kind of knew why they were doing it. They were just doing it now. Whereas before, you know, if you look at like Tim and Eric at the time, like
nobody knew why they were doing it.
So you know that old, I'm kind of maybe could explain it better, but you know the old Chinese or Japanese saying where everyone's in a room, and if they ring the bell and everyone stands up, and then by the end everyone stands up.
Yeah, what was I raised a ninja? I don't know any of these Japanese saying.
You don't know this? You don't know this? It's the old experiment. So essentially, what happens is if they start with people and they say, "Hey, listen, if we ring the bell, everyone has to stand up." And then when people leave, they bring new people in, they ring the bell, you just see everyone else stand up and you go, oh, okay, we stand up when the bell rings. And then by the end, no one there has gotten an explanation for why they do it. They all just know if you go, hey, why do you guys, okay. So with a lot of the alt comedy, when it started, it was like a reaction to like, you know, comedy that was too clubby and stuff like that. And that's what always happens with music, is a reaction to the kind of thing before. But eventually, alt comedy is just like, hey, we're being zany, but they're not actually reacting to like a mainstream of too rigid.
You know what? The people that were, because one thing I always liked about Marin was he fucking hated, because they would call him the godfather of downtown comedy in like these magazines and shit. And like, he really did hate that. He used to yell at Dimitri Martin all the time, which I just remember Dimitri would come on a long skateboard, skating this like, I don't know, blowing on a pinwheel or something.
Longboarding is wrongboarding. That's the phrase.
And we're like, look at you, you're so cute. Why don't you be a man? Like, it wasn't even ball busting. It was like, and
bullying. Yeah.
I think also too, he sensed like a younger threat for hipster pussy.
Yeah, he was like, this is going to take me over.
He was always getting professor pussy, you know, and
this
is the next generation.
It's the punk guys when the new guy shows up with face tattoos, and you got to be like, I mean, you're not going to be able to get a job.
Yeah, so the people that were funny were like real comics. They were very funny, and they're like, he used to talk about that because Jeannie Garofalo he goes, when we brought a notebook on stage, the room was so that we could work out. That was what was alt about it. Like, I'm a comic. I work all over. Like, it was a place where it's not like, so a bunch of people saw that and like, oh, you can always bring a notebook.
And then that became a thing.
Yeah, and it lost its, it lost it. And so, and also it was white. I should also, the other factor of alt, it was very white. Like, that's why this crisis, like, comedy's not diverse enough. That's the arrogance of the kind of upper class that's into improv and shit.
Yeah.
They don't have black friends, so they think that there's this horrible segregation. Fucking Paul F. Tompkins tweeted when with the height of George Floyd, like when I would say it maybe got out of hand. he tweeted like, I grew up in Philly and I never had a black friend, and you got to read White Fragility, and like Paul F. Tompkins is an asshole. He's an elitist scumbag. That's why you didn't have a black in Philly. You sack of shit.
Yeah,
how do you live in Philadelphia? That's where I started comedy. That's where I went to college. How do you live there and not have you just have to have a black friend by just walking 2 steps in Philly. Like the amount you had to avoid black people to not have a black friend. Fucking Philly. And I would too if I dressed like a plantation owner from 1843.
Yeah.
So then they give this Christ like, am I like, yeah, motherfuckers, you've been. It's not just racist. Don't limit yourself to why you suck. You're like, you're like that. You're a bigot to everyone who's not in your clique. Like, don't just now focus on like you're going to be nicer to the black people. Like, have a blanket thing of like I'm going to be less of a fucking. It's because they're tremendously insecure people who can't stand. I didn't realize like the idea of alt where it's like I'm allergic to. I don't know. There's always an element of people that are seen. They're part of the scene, right? And that's so scenesters kind of started taking over, as opposed to people that were actually.
And then the corporations started, being like, "There's some money to made in this little culture that they got going on."
There's a lot of 100% now, and that's what all of this ultimately is. Not about woke or anything. It's everything's. I was talking to Neil Brennan about it. Like everything's a corporate gig. He was right. It's all the gigs are corporate gigs now. And when I started, you knew comics that did corporate gigs, and they're like, yeah, it sucks. You can't really be funny. It's like how college sucks, but 10 times worse doing it.
Yeah.
But it's great money. So that's why the mystery of why late night sucks, because it's corporate art. It's garbage. It's got nothing to do with their politics. Like it's in fact they're like Colbert's a bitch for like, I'm sure in his head he thinks he's doing the resistance. And he just focuses on that, and he makes money, and like he's a corporate fucking stooge. He used to be great on things, like
I know.
I mean, part of that's he's probably an improv like actor person more than the guy he had great writers. So you'll notice the quality
for
drop.
sure.
In fact, I think that people don't know that people write for these people. They're like,
it's hard to tell sometimes. You're like, you guys cannot possibly have writers.
But when you do it well, people are like, oh, you're great. Like, people think the person on the show, they just make the whole thing kind of deep down. Like they don't.
Yeah.
So that person will get blamed for things they didn't write, or like because they're just.
That's the best.
Yeah,
like Bill Maher actually wrote that N-word bit. That was a prank from his staff.
Wow, he is lucky that was pre-George Floyd death.
Yeah, that would have been tough now.
Yeah, because that's amazing. Like he wouldn't have just had, what do you have, like Method Man come on and be like, and then,
he gave him a talking to, made it all better.
Yeah, like
it wasn't Method Man. It was one of the ices, either T or Cube.
Because he doesn't comment. There's that New York Times guy that got fired because he was saying the word, I think to explain that somebody bad said the word and got fired.
That was phenomenal.
It's Monty Python now. It's Life of Brian.
Yeah, it is Monty Python.
Like that's really what we've achieved. That's our actual society. It's a bunch of women with beards on.
That's why, because I was saying, to go back to the thing, you go, like, you had all those jobs, and I'm sure some of the ones you had were super cool, but like now, it's like there's a lot of people that kind of are outside the system now. Yeah, but a lot of people are outside the system now and being like, man, why can't this system be changed? And you're like, why do you want to be part of that? It's over. Like that. I know,
that's everybody wanted to just go be the prom queen. I didn't realize how bad. That's the thing. I thought being like, I don't want to be part of that meant I didn't know it meant you yearned for it so deeply.
Honestly.
That it was your dream. Like
because you need validation, and that's the levels they go, well, you get this, and then you have a career.
Yeah, right.
and you take that away and they're like, ugh.
Well, the whole reason that was ever fun to do, because I always wanted to do stand up. I was like, the kind of that managers can't stand with. They're like, I just want to do stand up. And they're like, well, I don't know what to do with you. So
Yeah.
I just got jobs writing because I think I wrote for somebody for like a roast at the Boston. So if people know you could write jokes well, they'll ask you to. So I just fell into it, and I needed money. So
Do you know? Yeah, but do you know why you were like a better writer than a lot of other people? And I've talked on this podcast last week for people to check out your videos with Kyle, the one, especially the Shapiro and Biden. I was like, that's so perfect. But the reason why you're good, and this is the opposite of what's going on Clubhouse, and why that sometimes the long form stuff, the way that they do, like if you look at, you mentioned Eric Weinstein and those guys or whatever, right? Their job is like in a lot of ways, take a issue and like talk about it for like an hour and really get the thing out, where it's what you do, in my opinion, better than a lot of people, is you can take their hour conversation and take it into a sentence that said all the same stuff. You know what I mean? So just
maybe.
Dude, I just mentioned the like Brooklyn Boohoo scene, you know what I mean? And you're like,
right.
But
Yeah.
that kind of thing, that 3 words or how many words that is, says
That's
better.
What I'm trying to that's what I'm trying to be like. It tells the guy who.
He says so much in the 3
he's
words.
The ultimate guy of that. He's like, it's a hilarious. Like, that's what he does. And he used to tell me, he would be like imagery. Just have imagery. Like that's what all this stuff is.
Yeah, and you use stuff that people are. No, I'll tell you, we're like the religion thing, because you kind of talk about that as more than anyone, because we were Jehovah's Witness and everything. Like when you said that their heaven is the right side of history.
Oh yeah, right side of history heaven. That's where they're gonna go. It's amazing when I watch people. I'm like, what is your eternal reward? Attell used to go like, when do these people laugh in heaven?
That's when you're like, all right, ha ha ha.
Yeah, it's not a I know these are all corporate gigs now, basically. So it's like one
I
step
feel
away
it in
from
my
cruise
bones.
ship.
Do you feel it? Have you done any of them recently where you feel like in the later years?
Oh, that's what I was trying. The whole reason I ever liked writing these jobs is because you're making up shit with like people that are fun. I got to work on some things that were like really good, so they were good writers. Like now, you'd probably be in with like 3 people that are there to fill a quota it's their first job, and they're like, I wouldn't even probably relate to people. Like the only kind of job I could work is like it's probably some friend or a friend of a friend. And
yeah, that'd be a friend.
Somebody like I'm like a more referral only. I've never been like a package in a UTA package for a
and then you've worked tons
staff show, and I didn't want a staff show. I wanted to be able to do stand up.
How did you work on Who Is America?
From Amy recommended me to
Amy Schumer.
Sasha. Yeah, I think she probably felt bad for if I had to guess, but it was a good. All she did was like, you should talk to Kurt.
Can you say what happened with the the Amy Schumer thing? You're saying she felt bad, and that's because she like kind of threw you under the bus.
Yeah, which like I said, I very much say like, do whatever you got to do. She's like, I don't know what to do. There's people like, if I would have.
And what happened was someone at UCB got accused of rape, and you kind of said, hey, could we look into this before? Right? You tell me.
Somebody posted, Michael Shea posted this. He reposted a thing and said, UCB has done an investigation and determined that so-and-so is guilty of rape. Okay?
Citizen detectives.
Yeah, like not even like I was calling it Law and Order UCB and shit. Like, but that was all a lie. Like basically, UCB had known about this guy doing that. I found out, after it was all said and done, this person just went off road, and like UCB was going to sue her for putting that, because you can't put that up. Like that's crazy. Like so anyway. It became a whole thing, and somehow I'm how it shook out my argument that you can't fucking. That's crazy. I wasn't even like, give me evidence. I was like, just at least tell the story of what happened. Don't just tell me.
Yeah.
Don't UCB took care of it. Don't worry. Like that's fucking frightening. And so it turned out by the end, this guy's my best friend. Never met this motherfucker in my life, but now he's my best friend. That was one of my. Kurt Metzger defends his friend So what if, let's say he was my friend? If you knew, you wouldn't defend your friend if some crazy shit like that happened?
Totally.
But anyway, I think the guy did it myself. But the point was
after
not,
looking into it.
The point is, who
After
gives a
you
shit
did
about
your
him?
investigation.
It's not for him. Like
Yeah.
anybody, that's a crazy thing. But now that's a standard thing. That's good. We're supposed to, like, you just go online. That piece of shit, Charlie Rose. That's something that makes me very happy because he is a brutal, notorious sexual harassment guy. And like Brett Butler, the comic, that was the big like legend about him. I found out like a little bit later, and then he got Me Too. Like that's the one Me Too I really fucking like enjoyed, because every person that tries to jump on it, like, yeah, it's time for a reckoning. I assume you raped someone. I assume you did, because why would you? Yeah, we all have to. I mean, man, we've all done bad things and to women, like rape them. Like, no.
Yeah. It's the racist thing again.
But we're gonna spread my guilt around to you, and so that's what these fuckers do. Or they're either doing that, or it's like they're that fucking arrogant. Like, I think Charlie Rose decided to have a show about that. Like, you're that arrogant, dude, with your fucking record that's about to swallow you, to even do a thing about me saying you should have due process.
Oh, he hit you up. That's why.
No, he didn't hit me up. He had her on to be like...
that's where she did it.
Yes. And this fucker's tweeting at me my own points. Like, I was on the other side of my own points. I also cursed out... this is... I also cursed out this stupid... even today when I think about it, like, it's moron. But, all that's my fault for talking to people on Facebook like an idiot. Like, so what happened was this girl took... I'm in an argument with her, and she took off her comments and took my comments and went like, look what he's saying about you. So it made this whole the entire narrative got constructed. I mean, like, who gives a shit now? The thing that I find like shocking is I had no idea, because I at least wrote things you could take out of context to like fuck me with. Like, I at least did that.
Yeah.
So that's like, all right, that's fine. That's like my own stupidity. But now you could just say something perfectly reasonable.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't take much.
Yeah, like you might as well fucking go over the top verbally abusing someone, because you're going to get treated like you did either way. You're going to get treated like
they called you a pro-rape comedian. And like,
well, that was later when I was working on Sasha's show. And that's like some, I'm sure, open micer in Austin, freelance writing for the HuffPo, watched the credits of the show to see like what brave woman must have written it, and then saw me. Nick Mullen said that to me. I can't take credit. But,
that's so funny.
Yeah, like, and so that's what that is. There's like a thing where like these people are like, no, you're no longer going to be allowed. But that's fine with me. I don't need to work in that shit. Like, I don't. I never wanted to do.
Dude, I watched
like extended Hollywood time. Like I like
that was a job. That was just a paycheck in addition to stand up.
That was cool. But that guy is great. I guess that's a cool. Like, it was a cool thing to work on, but I could never survive because the way people survive who always work in that stuff is crazy. You're like, you just have to be like, oh no, I don't know how I would be able to survive. Like, I would just inadvertently do something that's going to be a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like a office pig. I'm like a tusks and coarse hair pig. But if here's what's good about it, it's you, and a lot of stand-ups can't do it because stand-up is so about you, and so like, and I feel about my own stand-up as a stand-up, I write less and I'm much more precious with things. Yeah, it's like something in nature, like fuck show. There's something about being able to like blank out, like put yourself into a project, especially if the thing is cool. It's very easy to do it if you like the thing you're working on. Like some stuff's just job, but I really liked Who Is America. So that was like that's exactly like why I would get into comedy, to make some shit. So I'm just hanging around like very funny people trying to be as funny as possible. So it's just like freedom and play. That's what Kyle called it. That's what comedy is. So that's all I want out of it is that experience of doing it. Like, there's no other thing. Like, I like doing it. I don't need to meet, fucking, the chick who plays Mystique on the new X-Men. Like that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that with you. Yeah. Cause even when we're talking about that thing, you'll message me like late at night with an idea. I'm like, oh, you just like, you're thinking about this always.
Fun, dude. And, so with Kyle, I used to work with him in an office, like, and, we would write stuff together. In fact, that's the Emmy was me and him. That was like,
Amy Schumer.
Yeah. For a song, that song was, it's called Girl, You Don't Need Makeup. And that was, like a thing I had Facebook posted. I had made a joke about, I wanted to write boy band songs, and then we made it into a thing. And Kyle's like really musical and
I remember it.
Shit. And so he's just good to work with. Like he's like he's probably more precise than I am. Like that thing you're talking about with Biden, that took us for like 1.5 minutes. That took fucking forever.
Well, that wasn't the precise thing.
Line. Yeah,
that was more that's more the like what you said, your ability to write characters like and you make fun of them without hatred. Like to me, that was what I liked about it.
Yeah, right. We just pick out it's I started working with him like before the pandemic because I wanted to before his shit was already good before I got there. He had a thing of his Donald Trump was so funny. It was like my favorite Trump impression because I could see in the comment like people that hate and like Trump both all like this impression.
So much better.
You could be like making fun of something they did, like, but it's just trying to be funny as possible with it, and not like part of the resistance with it. Like I don't want to hear your fucking resistance version of Trump, or I don't want to hear like that. You know, it's not just separation of church and state. There's a lot of shit. Like there should be a separation of corporate and state, and of comedy. Like not comedy and politics. I don't think people are like I don't like politics in it. Like there's always been politics and stuff. It's this specific intersectional cult. That's what people don't want in their shit. You know, when you're like, you hear complaint like, don't get the politics out of my something. Like, it's not even politics that's the problem. It's the fucking like where I feel like somebody's trying to indoctrinate me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just was trying to get away from this nonsense for 2 seconds with some kind of entertainment. Like, but no, you never allowed a moment. It's like being in a cult. You think about God all day with your whole heart and your whole soul and your whole mind, and you don't want to stumble your brother out of the faith.
Yeah,
that's what they do. You got to just think like.
We'll put it this way. I mean, isn't that like when you're talking about the writing for Amy, you were able to like write for her and like her message, which is different than yours. And I've done that like lots of times with girls. But they wouldn't be able to do that. Like if you worked for the church, you couldn't you wouldn't be able to write like, oh, I'm also like moonlighting, writing a Muslim screenplay, you know, like they would.
Yeah, or the company or Disney. Like, so somebody's telling me, I have a friend that was working for ABC, which is Disney, okay? And they were telling him, I can't remember what they were arguing about, but he's like, any standards and practices would say this is fine. They go, well, there's regular standards and then there's Disney standards and practice. So Disney has its own Sharia law. And he told me it felt like Scientology. It's like working for Scientology, working for a Disney company.
What is it?
It's just like your overall, it's like all these companies, you have to be part of their corporate culture, and you just start to think like that. You're like, well, is it Disney standards or is it regular American? You have your rights. And they'd like that to be everyone's. Those companies like, I should decide what standards, you know, that you live for, like discourse. You can't just have this unfettered like clubhouse speech going on. Like,
yeah, and most of it's revolving around no Jews, I would assume.
Where's the large private entity monitoring you to make sure? And that's all fucking people supposedly left are into that. That's mind-blowing to me. They're all into a corporate censorship, like weird power thing, and they're like, that's the left. That's who the left is here.
Did you, when you wrote on Who is America, did you have anything to do with the mosque sketch?
Yeah, I wrote that. That's mine.
Dude, that, to me...
The active shooter with the mosque, and he has a little mosque in his... No. You're talking about...
So that sketch was phenomenal.
Ant Hines wrote that one mostly.
Yeah, but I know the one you're talking about, dude. He has the mosque.
I thought you were talking about we had to build a little mosque in his cubicle. So
yeah. All the mosque stuff was incredible with that character. I guess those are two different ones. But.
No, the town hall was great.
The town hall. And Nathan Fielder directed that, right?
Yeah, that guy's a funny dude, man. I really liked him. Like I was not that into the show. Like I liked certain stuff on it, but I wasn't like people would tell me like great, and it was like the character. I thought he would be like a boring dude from his character he's doing, but he's a very funny dude. Like
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I didn't work on the movie that he just did with Borat, and that probably was difficult. I imagine that was a difficult thing to figure out, but the show was like before it was becoming completely, like. But I remember warning him, like, this is going to be the last, like, kind of thing, a funny thing.
You thought that?
A white guy. Yeah, I could tell in 2016. These people, like, famous people are so insulated from shit that goes on generally, okay? So it takes, one time we got in an argument about Antifa.
You and Sasha and Cohen?
Mm-hmm. And Antifa wasn't that big of a thing. Like
you thought they were great. You thought they were really great.
No, he was just like, it's just a bunch of lesbians and they don't like, he just has no idea. Like these people have no idea what goes on at the very base level with any of these things. They just know the side they wish well. And they're like, they mean well. And I would say he's a very like nice, like I didn't see any vices. Like he's Jewish, doesn't get high, or he's got a nice family. Like he just seemed like a very upright, like I would never in a billion years expect to hear anything like that about him. The way you hear shit come out about people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you kind of said that it seemed like there was a lot of, in Hollywood, it's a lot of, kind of like people in their 40s and 50s sucking up to millennials who fucking hate them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but that's also has to do with marketing because there's a coveted demographic that they're going for. But I just think that these demographics are like shrinking. Like, like the bourgeois thick class you're trying to get, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So that's why there's this huge disconnect between like the establishment critic versus the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, where it's like, really, like you thought Chappelle was only 12% good and like everybody else saw it strangely thought it was 99%. It's almost like what Occupy Wall Street was talking about, except socially. Like,
yeah,
like we are the 99%. There's a whole 99% of people that aren't into this shit, and because these people built up their bubble so well, they're like in it. I mean, they've made fun of it. Like Saturday Night Live had that thing called the bubble, where you and your friends could move. Saturday Night Live had a few sketches that were like kind of like, it wasn't like funny, but it was like at least commentary on what was going on. Yeah, so that's it. And then all these execs, like I'm sure Lorne Michaels has all kinds of shit that he's afraid would. I'm sure all these people at long-running things have all kinds of history where they have to really pretend to be obedient.
Of course, yeah.
Because
you're going to be selling sleep apnea cleaner.
Yeah, you're going to be selling sleep apnea. Yeah, right. Or
Patriot pills.
I only want to sell like a tampon that lets you fucking make it in the workplace. Like, what are the fucking commercials on the like MSNBC? What are like those kind of lifestyle products? It's like that, and then like Raytheon for some reason.
Yeah, that's
advertises. I did Jimmy Shore's dough.
Jimmy Dore.
I did Jimmy Dore's live show, and he played videos, and there's a fucking commercial. It's Raytheon and Girl Scouts. And shows all these girls like learning about technology, and they're like, we need something for the future, and women and inclusion and women in the future. And it's like girls they're holding like a virtual reality thing, ooh, in their Girl Scout outfits, and it's the most bizarre pairing. It looked like a parody.
I've thought about doing a parody of those, and I didn't. I kind of went a different route.
Have you seen those?
Yeah, dude. Have you seen like Coca-Cola's transgender commercials? It's crazy.
What's the Coca-Cola transgender commercial?
So essentially, I mean, there's so many of these right now. You're right, and it is like, so the Coca-Cola one. It's just a bunch of people. The mom, so it's like a little documentary style. The mom comes, and her son is, dressing up like a girl or whatever. And then they show the son, getting the surgery, putting the makeup on, and they show 3 different ones, and they do that. And at the end of it, it's like, Sprite.
That's hilarious.
It's phenomenal.
It's almost like the boomer process of like being, going to college and being hippies and then getting your shit together and going to Silicon Valley and starting, like that process where the hippies became yuppies. their kids did it all together at the same time. Like, I'm a radical and I'm going to get a job in the city and I'm going to be wealthy and I'm going to like, they didn't like just, it's so, and it's like, I think from just having no principles, like it wasn't like losing your it was like just having none
to begin with.
And so there's no like this, they're like, no, yeah, this is like, somebody called the lifestyle left on Twitter, and that's exactly what it is. The lifestyle left.
Yeah.
So anybody left that supports that shit, they're going to come after you. Like, that's why I love Jimmy. Like, he's one of the few, or like Chris Hedges or any of these people, they one of the few people who are like free speech leftists. And they're also, ironically, the few anti-war leftists. And they get sent, anti-war sites, they get scrubbed along with the right-wingers. That's the little quiet, because these companies don't give a shit.
That's the look over here.
Yeah, so Jimmy had on a guy. So Jimmy had a thing because he talked to some boogaloo boy who had given a speech in like Michigan at the Capitol. From what I just overheard from media thing is that they're a racist Proud Boy group or something. That's what I heard. But it's not. It's a bunch of people. The guy's gay. They were there they would like defend BLM protesters from that's crazy to me how opposite they get reported as a right wing, and they're not at all. And so then he talks to this guy, and then he has this guy from the something Democratic Socialist Alliance, and this guy's like has this huge problem that Jimmy spoke to this other guy before him. He goes, the Boogaloo Boys are apply because but the guy just said that it's not that. It's an amazing fucking episode.
I know.
And this asshole's like, I don't think you platform a Boogaloo Boy. He just would not get off this. He goes, you were flirting with libertarianism.
Oh,
yeah. And then
Heaven forbid.
not 2 days later, that guy's site got scrubbed off Facebook.
Wow.
He got censored 2 days after his shit, after they had this argument. Fucking moron. So that's like,
it never takes long for them to get a taste of the own medicine.
There's like, it's like the classic, like how the Marxists, there's like they don't like the working class. They never have. They can't stand the working class. So to be a leftist and hate the working class, that's why it got converted to your skin color and gender and shit, because that way I can be rich but still a victim of you.
Yeah.
Like,
have you seen the meme?
Victim of people who are mean on Twitter.
There's a pretty good meme that was going around. It was it was just like, whatever, if you want to say, I can't remember if it was leftist or whatever, society in 2000. It was like the Wall Street thing, 99%, and it was everyone's signs, and then it was like them now, and it was just them on a float with like rainbows everywhere, and it's like Coca-Cola, Bank of America, TD Bank, and it was like the same people.
That's the process, dude. I guess what do you call it? The wild beast they have to swallow. That's what all this like painful shit is as the corporate beast swallows woke.
Yeah.
Like, the burping noise or the farting sound as it swallows all this horse shit. And because it has to co-opt it. And then that's the truly disgusting process, is watching them co-opt it. Because you could buy everybody. Like, so all these people that are like, they went to college, like they learned the shit at college. They went to college expecting to have a better life in general. And they fucking, you just give him some money and then let him, like, you can help do work for women or something, like you can fucking,
you're right. It's how to get all the things at the same time.
Yeah. So that's why I don't believe in any of the, like, people are like for socialism or capital. Like, none of these things are like the thing that fixes things. Like, they're just an economic system.
Yeah. And they can be medicine
onto it. And you got to work with the people you have to make you know what I mean? That's a huge factor. What kind of people are you working with? So they're always pieing this, it's just like a religion. Like, everything's, oh no, this is the system. It works perfectly. They always tell you how it works great, and none of them do. Like, and they're not figuring in the human element of how, like, your perfect system's going to be fucked up by people.
Yeah.
Like, I especially when people talk about capitalism, like, most people who aren't invested in stuff only think of it as like, oh, I want to start a business and do it, or I want to be able to advance my life. And like, it's just now I notice where you see both right and left kind of acknowledging this fucking like corporate, it's like state capitalism or something. It's like giant corporate cronies, and it's like pull the ladder up.
Worst of both worlds.
Yeah, like you don't want to let anyone advance. That's what these giant things do. They make it so other things can't advance. Because that's what it's, if it was capitalist, it's supposed to be we all can the market can decide, but then they have the power to manipulate the fucking market. And they say that they should, that it's good that they do that. In fact, they're doing us a favor manipulating the market.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it would have been a mess. Like, you wouldn't even had your precious capitalism if we didn't give this bank $1 trillion.
They all love capitalism. None of them don't like capitalism. Like capitalism in terms of international corporate capitalism is like the fucking devil. I mean, it's really bad. It's not, I don't know how anybody could argue for it. Well,
what do you mean by that?
That's why everything's like this. That's why everybody's walking around. Every comic I talk to that I know for a long time, they all mention of like how they got to just keep their head down and watch every little. I'm like, you just got done telling me how you live in fear all day.
I know.
And you're fucking worried about like, you think you're losing democracy because Trump got elected? Are you fucking stupid? You've been spied on for fucking 20 years by your government. They all just put that aside because you need to be programmed to worry about aesthetics and programmed to pick a personality that you're devoted to and not worry about any of the policy, because that's really none of your business, the policies and shit. Just have trust, like, oh, who do you like? Somebody said to me on Gnome's Spy, well, which candidate do you like, Kurt? I don't know, all of them, they seem nice. Who gives a shit what I like?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Anything that I give a shit about? Or is it all like not like who I don't want to have a beer, that disgusting idea of like, who do you want to have a beer with? That's a fucking perverse thing, especially in politics. Like, I could hate you, motherfucker. Just do the thing I want. But you're supposed to go. So now here's the benefit you get from attaching it all to personalities. If someone says something that's true, if they're a bad person, then who cares? That means it's wrong. So in the case of like, let's say coronavirus, which there's a lot of evidence it was like engineered, not as a bioweapon, but the way they study viruses, it is this hard. I saw these people talking about it. It was the most horrifying thing I ever heard. But because Trump suggested it, the media has to say, of course not. That's a conspiracy. But people that know about this shit, it doesn't act like a normal virus. That a normal virus will get weaker as it spreads out, but this virus can mutate into a stronger, because there were two schools of thought in virology. One is you should try to evolve the virus to see how bad it can get, like, because we need that information. And there's another school is like, that's too dangerous to do. But it wasn't really settled, and there was perverse incentives to do the other way. So people around have been doing that with viruses because they just get grants and shit, and there's actually no scientific reason anymore to do it. It's just a perpetuating. It's so scary how it works. So normally a virus, once you like beat it, like the way he put it was a virus usually has one trick. Like once you beat it, like it has a trick to survive. But this one has two tricks, which doesn't normally happen in nature, where it evolves two. Usually it evolves one.
And once it does the first trick, you don't have that much time for it to.
And then so I mean, that's really like simplifying it, but the science jargon makes it sound so fucking frightening. It sounds so terrifying. And then the guy's like, it's politicized. So that's unfortunately, because it got politicized, there's no way. Like, everything is not a platform for this, Virology should be just its own platform that doesn't concern itself with,
identity politics.
Yeah, like, so that's the big. So all these people who aren't particularly good at one thing, but they can be zealots for this thing. They're like, oh yeah, I'm a comic who really cares about. I'm not that good at comedy, but that's not what's important. Like, I'm doing this to promote marginalized voices, and and then if you're a critic who never understood comedy, when I started, being super edgy was what they were going for, and shit that I didn't think was any good, they would push like it was amazing. Like Lisa Lampanelli, who was like. Lisa Lampanelli was the Nanette of her day, where all the fucking people were like, oh my God, it's amazing. It's a woman and she's saying things that are racist. And like, it's not even the racist. It's like, it wasn't fun. It was just like, this is just like.
You found a hack.
It seemed like the shit that, like hacky racist is so much worse. It like the audience would eat it up, and you're like, oh my God, like she's like saying what they're all thinking. You're like, ew.
Ew.
And but the industry loved it because it's a woman doing it. you know, and it was like, that's supposed to be amazing. So then they flip. So they always promoted crap. So then they flip hard, and then they promote the crap of, you know, and that's where all the writing staff is being cast that way. So they're like, we need a diverse one, and you can't just be I know somebody who's like a lesbian who isn't diverse enough. That's
writer. Nothing right now.
Yeah, like you got to be black now, because after George Floyd, they're like, oh, you're not just going to munch your way into this job. You got to. It's
kind of like with when like the corporate like takes over the woke stuff for Hollywood or whatever. You know, when like an alien, like when they say an alien comes here and imitates a human, but it's like they didn't quite do it right.
Yeah,
it's like because there's no room for nuance in, you know, a phony replica. So it just becomes like,
dude, we used to laugh at standard when we get the standards and practices notes on everything I ever worked on that went on TV. They had standards and practices notes of like, you can do that. So on Ugly Americans, they had this robot that was supposed to be like, it was after nuclear war, this robot was designed to come back out and repopulate the earth. So it was filled with sperm, you know, because all the sperm would be ruined, and it got out early and it was going around shooting people with fucking sperm. Okay.
Yeah.
So standards and practices said, okay, you can have that, but it can't be like a fire hose of it. It could just be like a few like little trickles. Okay. And then when they made
sperm police.
No, right. And it's like, okay, when we just laugh, you're like, whatever you want.
Sure.
It looked grosser. The little squirts look so much grosser than,
because it's not comical anymore. Yeah.
It's not comical. And it's not based on any moral thing. It's like what somebody imagines, what some Ivy League lawyer imagines they could maybe get in trouble for. So that's all these morals now are based on, like, what could we maybe get in trouble for? And now the only way to advocate is to try to destroy someone who has your opposing view, so that a corporation looks like, oh, people are really mad. Like they fired that chick from the Mandelabra on and
the
you know, they got they got like a backlash, like, well, was there enough of a backlash to make it a vote where they have to, like, you know, so it's just like,
the backlash is probably good. Yeah.
So who's going to have more voting power naturally, or more important? It's going to be like rich people. And so that's why it's like the disconnect between PBS and like regular TV when I'd be like, who's watching this when I was a kid? Because I like, who's watching the ballet? Like, it's like rich people were paying for this to be on because it's like culture stuff.
Yeah.
Now, everything's that. It's like, this is sponsored by some rich man's secret crimes he did that he's got a fucking that's what the reason we have James Corden is because Les Moonves.
And because of what?
Les Moonves from
Who's that?
CBS, the guy who got kicked out for being a sexual harasser,
and he was like, Corden's the guy. He
handpicked him, like he was the most powerful guy there, you know.
What was his deal? Corden, where'd he come from?
Oh, he's from England. He was on a show called Gavin and Stacey, which was like...
She was like an actor kind of coming up or whatever.
I guess it was like a comedy.
But
it's not a British show that's going to come over here, put it that way. Like, people maybe think a lot of British shit's funny. Like, well, you're maybe just seeing what somebody realized.
Yeah, you're seeing the good stuff that came over, yeah.
Yeah, and so fucking... well, and now James Corden. So he's on this show called Gavin and Stacey. Try to watch it. It's like... If you think Friends is too edgy and hardcore and too white, like, and also not white enough.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, who the fuck? This must be what they mean when they mean Little Britain. That means like the people that would watch this show. It's so like not even jokes. And so much revolves around like singing a popular song together and feeling good. I just try watching clips. It baffled me. Like I really sat there like, what is this?
Yeah, and that Les Moon guy saw that, and he said, "This guy."
He saw him.
This guy needs a show.
He saw him doing a play or a musical somewhere in London. So, which apparently was a very well reviewed music. But how can you trust reviews?
You cannot. Anyway,
yeah. So now karaoke is a form of comedy. Like just singing, that's like comedy. See, comedy. Like,
you know what's funny?
That's a corporate way to do it. Like, this is art. Like, you know, nobody's upset. Oh, I have a pleasant feeling, and that's a song that I've heard. So it's good promotion for the song. And
yeah, all of TikTok's that.
Yeah, and I'm not doing work. This must be comedy. This is like the automatons that be.
Funny, but I watched. So when I was in the hotel, I was actually like on Friday night. I saw what was on Friday and Saturday. And I thought this was so like telling, and maybe you have like a real reason why this doesn't mean anything and I'm reading into it, but Friday and Saturday night, they had marathons of South Park, 4 episodes, and it wasn't like, this is some weird, it was like, this is what they're doing. Friday, Saturday night, they're like, put South Park on 4 episodes, and it was like, this show's, it's still relevant and still happening, but it was old episodes. Like, these are 15 years old. So this is their Friday and Saturday night programming, which I assume is a pretty, like, heavily watched night. And they're still watching the one show that they still have that they would never make in a million years now.
There was a point, like, where Comedy Central, most of their money was coming from blue collar everything.
Oh, the Larry the Cable Guy tours.
Daily Show's like a prestige kind of thing, but it wasn't like the demographic that they wanted to get, because a lot of brands, and they
eventually had to get rid of the denim, the Canadian Tuxedo tour.
Yeah, and so they fucking that's, or like Netflix had old episodes of The Office. That's what everybody was watching on there. So like a lot of their shit sucks. Like they have a huge failure rate, and then they own the rights to these reruns. That's why South Park doesn't get canceled. If you're already big enough and you demonstrate how much money you bring in, then whatever you did is okay. Like J.K. Rowling, they hate J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, she's not going anywhere.
She owns, God bless her, owns all her shit, and it makes so much money. So there's nothing that they could do, but they can destroy, like, if you're a minor, something minor or unimportant.
Of course, even like Jordan Peterson a little bit. It's like they wanted to kill him, but it's like, at the top of the company, they're like, "Are you going to give me $1 billion?"
What did he do that? Like, I still don't get what his what the danger of him is. Like, what is it that he's so? I've heard.
Well, they figure that out after. You know that, Kurt. They know that this guy's bad.
Cut that off though. Like, why does he have to go?
Well, they'll figure out why he has to, or what's the reason. Second,
what's the real reason? What's the real reason?
The real reason is because Jordan Peterson became literally the biggest, probably cultural influence in modern history, and just sold a gazillion books. And he was against all the stuff that they're for. Which is,
so it's like a Trump thing of like, we can't. Like our
and he wasn't. He didn't speak like Trump, but it didn't matter. His big thing was
that's my point. It's like a guy that doesn't speak like Trump will get the exact same amount of fucking horseshit if he's.
Yeah, they just find that they go, "Oh, look, we don't like the way he speaks," and then he stops speaking like that, and you're like, "Still don't like it." Lo and behold.
Yeah, right. Well, now it's like going to be a thing of trying to control every, because there's no Trump and their businesses fucking sucks now. They're going to have to get a new business as being in charge of what anybody can say. That's why I think the New York Times.
Their new business is putting South Park on 4 times a night again.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, there's a lot of other people making great shit. Like, you could do that again. And I watched Trevor Noah. So they put Trevor Noah on, and I go, the quality of what we're doing right now was better than the Trevor Noah show. And
yeah, right. Well, he was a perfect guy for a corporate gig.
And you're talking, about real shit. This is Trevor Noah interviewing some actor about nothing, and you're
or fawning over, whatever. There's always Kamala Harris, fluff pieces to make.
You ever seen when celebrities start podcasts because they have to? Do you know what I mean? Some actress, and she's like, "Oh, I guess I'll do that now because there's some whatever. Podcasting is popular."
Or a YouTube channel, which is more hilarious.
that seems darker when you see. Yeah, you're like Matthew McConaughey, got a YouTube channel now, and he's making digital shorts, and you go,
Brie Larson and her fat friend.
You're like, this is rough.
And you just really feel bad for the fat friend. You're like, wow.
Yeah, when you take away all the stuff. I mean, other people have made this point, but it was funny to watch. You watch South Park, it's the funniest show ever. And then they cut to Trevor Noah, and he's interviewing a guy, and he's kind of like, oh, so you ran into George Clooney last week, you mentioned? And it's just kind of.
That's classic setup.
I know, but when it looks like a podcast, it's unfortunately our brains, are used to seeing. Everyone knows what Joe Rogan looks like. Everyone listens to 10 podcasts now. So when you see this one, you have a frame of reference, and you're like, instead of comparing this to Jimmy Fallon.
But they can't duplicate. The entire appeal is that it's not produced, and they can't ever duplicate that feeling of a real thing, because it's by nature not. It's like,
But even you watch all those Hollywood podcasts, you're like, these people are in studios. They've got good camera setups. You don't need to watch them. I'm sure you've been on them and you know what they look like or whatever. But just funny to watch Trevor Noah do his looks like it's fucking filmed on an iPhone. The guy doesn't have a microphone, and you're like, this is broadcasting on Comedy
he's doing
Central.
it on like Zoom or something, right?
Yeah.
I never watch. I only
crazy.
I see the promos sometimes, and I see that I like his hair's been. He's got like a Corona lockdown hair, and he's fucking.
Yeah, he's got a fro. Yeah, and he wears a sweater.
But he was always like, he was a nice guy. Like a long time ago, I met him, and he would be at the cellar sometimes, and like talking to him. He was like a nice guy.
I'm sure.
And I didn't like.
He's not filming the show, but
yeah, like but like you know, any kind of like foreign comedians, I always grade on a curve. I'm like, okay, well, what country? You know, like Nanette giving a generous curve is still not comedy. You know?
Yeah.
Trevor was like, okay, like it's like kind of like trite, but like he can, you know, I see how this is like the biggest of South Africa or whatever. Like, but I'm like, all right, and I never. It's just like it's.
What
so
do you think of
lame.
Australia?
I thought that Jon Stewart picked him to like make sure the show could never be as good as his show.
You think it was that?
No, I think. Well, I used to think that, but
It's like being happy seeing your girlfriend with like a loser.
I think it's just being like, you know, like kind of like white guilt. Like they all love a guy with an accent. All these kind of like comedy, like
the smart
they all
guys.
think that they're smarter. Even a fucking Australian accent, they're like, oh, they're smarter. They have an accent, and you know, it's like he checked a lot of like liberal points for him. Because Jon Stewart's like he's like a cute liberal, you know?
Yeah.
The thing I give him credit for that I think was great, very great about him was he would always say, this isn't the news. If people are watching instead of the news, that's disturbing. The news is not doing their job.
Well, it wasn't at the time. Now it is, though. I mean,
now the news.
Dude, you can switch back and forth between The Daily Show and CNN, and they're kind of saying the same thing.
No, then these shows started copying The Daily Show because it got ratings. So now that's why like Anderson Cooper has a ridiculous.
Right.
Say that he goes, here's my ridiculous. Like,
I have not watched it. Yeah, no.
Anderson Cooper is a sickening human being. And, Jesus Christ. I'm watching him talk. Remember Donald Sterling, that guy that.
Yeah, he's a patriot hero. Yeah.
Do you remember the Patriot? Oh my God, it's hilarious. He like
taking girls out of the hood, dude. That guy.
Yeah, well, that was his beard. That's what somebody told me is like that guy's gay, and that chick is his beard.
If you're 90 years old and you're gay, just give it up, man.
No, well, he should have.
Feels like gay doesn't age well. Like being a 90-year-old
like,
guy
what kind
still
of
take.
a beard are you being? He goes, when I heard Magic had those AIDS. So Anderson Cooper. So okay, more power to you. Definitely get that interview. I'm glad I saw it of this guy Donald Sterling defending himself is hilarious.
That's hilarious.
But the Anderson goes, warning, some of this the way he gives the warning, like, guys, he's like, I have some bad news. He said some bad stuff. I'm so sorry. I have to show this to you right now. Guys, I'm really sorry, but you have to see this. Like, it's so repulsive, that insincerity of like, because the joy of what he's getting from this guy.
He couldn't be happier, yeah.
And he's got to like show like, this is solemn. This is a solemn thing in America when this... When Magic Johnson had those AIDS, I prayed for him. What does that have to do?
Yeah, he's the guy giving someone he hates like his test back and he got an F, and he's like, I'm so sorry that you got an F.
Yeah.
He's ecstatic.
he has to somebody told me Donald Sterling. Who's that one player on the team that became like a comic briefly?
Oh, Dwayne, was it? Dwight Howard?
No. He's kind of redheaded.
No, I know the one because he did the roasts.
Yes, but
I think he
Donald
sucked at comedy, but he was funny in the roast, I think.
He said, like, he's like funny for a fucking CTE athlete.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm sure he was funny in the dressing rooms. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, no, people told me, a bunch of people were like, yeah, he's a funny dude. But he said Donald Sterling like held his hand and took him around the locker room. They took his hand. Like, I think Donald Sterling, I just like to look at all the black butts and Donald Sterling's gay. That's what I heard. And so that chick was his beard, and so
which is why she doesn't care that she was having sex with all the guys.
Yeah, he didn't say don't have sex with him, like Bill Burr's joke.
He's very progressive.
Fuck him. He goes, but you're here to be my beard, so it doesn't look
Stick
like
to
my
the
beard's
job.
with a team of black guys. That's what it was, and he can't say that. But that's like an interesting real story, that you have to like, I guess, know somebody who knows somebody to hear, which the a real journalist would give a shit about, or like.
Yeah, and it's just something that someone would break, and it's almost like a lot of things right now where the truth seems so crazy that you get written off like a conspiracy theorist, like, oh, as if, like, there's just too many people can handle like 2 points of things happening. Like once it's 3 or 4 things, like, okay, so he has this girl, then she's fucking all the black guys, plus it's his beard, and you're like, I'm out. This is too much things.
Well, I like Jon Stewart, which I thought was fucking weak as shit. Neil Brennan had a show called Approval Matrix, then he was interviewing Jon Stewart about this, and it was he was asking me, like, is that disturbing, like, in your home, that's a thing now, that, like, and he goes, no, it's just like he had no problem with it whatsoever, thought it was a good thing.
Sorry, thought what was a good thing?
Like, now your private shit is going to be like a newsworthy thing to, like,
gotcha.
Thought that was fine, and didn't, like, now it's so much worse. I mean, it's fucking vile now how it is. And
it's kind of the Jezebel thing, I guess.
What's the Jezebel thing?
Well, Jezebel, I don't know if you've seen the documentary, but essentially Jezebel outed Peter Thiel.
Jezebel. I thought it was
sorry, Jezebel's the one like a
My
section
friend
of
used to be the editor
Pornhub
of
that I like,
Jezebel.
yeah. Really?
Yeah. And
Gossip Queen.
Yeah, well, she would tell me about it, like, because and she wasn't like they started hiring people. Like when she got in there, it was like still the Liz Lemon era of feminist. Okay, so 30 Rock's a very, very funny show. So back then, women actually could still be funny on 30 Rock before that was banned by less funny women that came in. So fucking she told me about these hires that they had, like, that they, like, sucked, and this is as more and more millennials got the jobs of being I always thought it was ironic that Jezebel was named after a chick from the Bible who deserved to be thrown out a fucking window. Jezebel was an evil woman who painted her face like a whore that had to be chucked out of a window. Jezebel nails it.
Yeah,
it had to be. The Lord commanded it.
It's so funny, dude. But yeah, that's like, they all just turned into sort of like, gossipy church ladies, I guess, essentially. Did you hear what so-and-so had sex out of wedlock? Did you hear?
Because this is in the New York Times. They're writing this. Okay, the guy writes, like, the New York Times is in the middle of an evolution from stodgy paper of record to a juicy collection of narratives of, like, the best online. It's like, did you say you're a juicy collection of narratives now?
That's what the New York Times said they are.
That's in the words of the guy. And so that's a guy from BuzzFeed that broke the fake P-tape story.
Okay.
About Trump. Remember, nobody would publish it because it was actually like the CIA leaked it. So you didn't want Trump, and nobody would pick it up. Like, even these shitty outlets. But BuzzFeed, they go, well, we'll just say somebody said this, and is it true? You decide.
Yeah.
So this guy went to the New York Times.
Just we'll put, or did he at the end?
Yeah, right. And so that's what they think news is now, because that pile of shit, Nick Denton from Gawker, there's a documentary about it called The Front Page, when you can see where Brian Stelter got his start at New York Times. And this old reporter's like, yeah, I think Brian Stelter was constructed to torture me. Like, he was made in a lab of everything I hate. So this guy's like a real journalist, and you can see he's on his way out, and they cut to this fat turd Brian Stelter tweeting, I'm checking Twitter. And it's a documentary, and Nick Denton's bragging about how they're just, because the newspapers can't, now this is pre-Trump, so they can't compete. So that all this happened before Trump. Trump was just like the lifeline for them, kind of.
Yeah.
It was all like startup money and all this shit of, like, rich people investment, and they turned news into queenie, shitty gossip. So maybe I can't blame the Daily Show, because they were just turning it into, like, some jokey jokes. But Gawker was really like, now the news is going to be the meanest fucking rich girl who hangs out with the shittiest gay guy. The shit they talk about.
Yeah.
Imagine these two fucking morons, how they talk. Oh my God, did you hear? That's going to be the tone of all the news now. It's so juicy. I went to the Columbia School of Juicy Narration.
Actually, that reminds me. We're gonna wrap this up because we're getting long, and I'm gonna put, like, the one last thing that you said to because I always I actually do, whenever I'm listening to people I like, especially even when we're gonna do this and I listen to a bunch more of your things, I always, like, write down in a little which sounds kind of corny, but I'll write down like your name and then like a few funny things.
And then I write plus my name.
No, yeah. Then I write my own name and it's way more. And I'm like, these are all the great quotes the great comedian said. You have way more than them. I go, they need to catch up.
But you write down people's...
I write down like, so you said the Brooklyn boohoo scene, and I know this is crazy, but like,
I don't remember saying that. Like, where did I say that?
On your podcast.
Did I really?
Dude, whenever someone nails something, I write it down, and then also you kind of keep track of who said what that you heard. So you're like, then when you later I say it, I go Brooklyn boohoo scene, I go, that was fucking Kurt.
I do that.
Or I go, who the fuck said that thing? Because it gets in your head, and I go, who said that? And especially when it's my friends or people I like, I want to know. Can I contribute too, right? But you said
it's very thoughtful and Canadian of you. I would just.
I'm also like a psycho OCD about my notes and stuff like that too. So maybe that's part of it.
It's like all work and no play makes Ryan.
I just love quotes. I get so excited about. You ever been like? I think that was one of the things that people like Jordan Peterson so much. But you ever been like fucking? Think. Hopefully, I do that for other people sometimes. But you're like thinking about something forever, and then someone says one sentence. Yeah.
Some guy that a guy that I'm a fan of on YouTube that I talk to sometimes, he said I never heard this joke, but it's kind of funny that you want to join the military, but you didn't like the idea of having to commit suicide after.
No, close. I said, I would be down to join the army if you didn't have to be homeless after. And then I say,
wow, he's a veteran. The guy's a veteran, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah. And I go, well, Americans love their troops till after the war. Then they're like, ew, he's got no legs.
I don't want to be homeless after. Did you know who the last broke president was?
Who?
Truman. Truman died at his he had to move into like his mother-in-law's house.
Oh, the ultimate shame.
So that's when the president swore they would never, that won't happen to me. And,
yeah, get Raytheon on the phone, day one. But you said, I'll tell you what you said. You said that, which was such a like perfect crystallization. You were talking about Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton or whatever, right? Yeah. And you were like, that is so much. If Paris Hilton was famous now, she'd be telling you who to vote for.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I still admire about Paris. That we did not appreciate these debutante party whores like we should have.
That's what it is. Yeah,
they were making porns. All they wanted to do was hang out and now the generation that should be them is now. Like, I'm an activist. And like, oh my God.
Yeah, fucking
and
make a
unhappy.
sex tape.
That's why they're so unhappy. Like, Paris Hilton was doing that's what you're supposed to do as a fucking...
She had a shirt that said, fuck poor people or whatever.
Did she really?
Yes.
And I think she did. I know for a fact she did fuck some poor people. One of my roommates was a poor person she fucked.
Really?
Yeah, so she was literally saying she would fuck poor people. She's all right. Listen, she's all right. She's all right. Never once said anything about... I don't know. Take your fucking pick. I can't even get them out of my mouth. There's so many of them in my brain at once of awful. No,
but yeah, if all those people now, it's like that's how smart you are. That's so good, and you're like, you're right. You do have some of these people do have like a good business sense of how to turn their like activism into a business. Good at.
This is like, do you? Everybody's not supposed to switch jobs. Like the president's not supposed to be a clown, and I'm not supposed to be the president. Okay.
Yeah.
And so let's all go back to our jobs that we had. It's called the division of labor, and it was a good thing.
Yeah, that's the new communism is when all the comedians are presidents and all the presidents are comedians.
Yeah, it's going to be worse. Like they're worried about Trump, but somebody worse is coming. Like because they didn't address any of this problem.
Yeah.
and so someone who's not going to fuck it up, who has like, Trump's just like an empty fucking. He's like an empty fucking suit that just like, what do you like? You like me to say this? Like, that's all.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to come that has ideas and they're going to be maybe bad. And it's going to be like overwhelming. Like somebody said that to me, some comic out here. He goes, yeah, the next president will be like Hitler is being raised even now in Silver Lake. And I believe him. He was right.
Yeah. Okay, fuck yeah. Well, hey, when are we doing the special?
Well, he called me just now, so we're gonna do a pre-record. So I think we're gonna pre-tape that.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, whenever you want. But
yeah, because we're gonna have it. We have to have like all this shit. We're gonna have to record ahead of time and then do the live. Anyway, it's coming.
Very cool, man. I mean, it's like literally you guys are doing stuff that's probably cooler than most TV shows, and you're just making it the two of you. So
it'd be great if it had made any money at all. All right. I'll talk to you later, thanks.
Okay, and podcast is Can't Get Right with Kurt Metzger.
Right. It's not a good podcast. All right, I'll see you later.
Okay, thanks, buddy. You're the best.